So hello and welcome to a Handpicked Live YouTube channel. And today we are going to have a chat about what it is to be the authority in your life. What does that mean when you can really turn inwards and know what's right for you above all else? So there are times when this is easier with smaller decisions, and there's times where you get really challenged. There are many different opinions out there, and it's important to stay open to different opinions and to be able to evolve. But when we get into the practice of knowing how life speaks to us, what our internal cues are to what's right and what's wrong, then there's that sense of being really rooted and grounded and safe. There's a sense of safety in your body, because I know, certainly for me, at times in my life where I can't trust myself. I don't know. I'm constantly looking to the outside for validation. Is this right? Am I going the right way? And I have I do have a clear sense now, and I also have certain friends that I'll check in with. I'll talk things over with. There are people, friends that will douse also, and the people that for me I know are really trustworthy are the people that say, this is what I get, this is what I'm feeling about this is what my dowsing is saying about this at the moment, and but it's left to me to make the decision. And for me, that's been the authority. So at the end of the day, I can be open, I can receive information, I can evolve, and I know that feeling. And I think the more you get into that place of, this isn't about being on your own with something and trying and having to work something out, but it really is using life and what life offers you to get to a place of strength and rootedness in yourself. So for me, and I know, like Hannah from the lens of human design as well, there's a really interesting take on what your specific authority is and how to experiment with that to strengthen. And I've also found that aspect hugely valuable in sort of, for me, adding to the mix of staying rooted and knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, human design gives you like a languaging and a system to be able to start to explore this. And there's definitely, what I would say as well is, there's definitely, human design isn't the only way. And this is what we've really experienced recently, actually, because we've been working with a client who has actually started somatically and has been working with you for quite a while. And we've kind of introduced human design recently. And what's really interesting is she's kind of done it backwards, but it's still very much like human design has now just added the layer of like the languaging to kind of help you to kind of be more cognizant, the right word, or like aware, like, have the cognition around the like how you navigate the world and your internal guidance system. And I think that when we're dropping into the body and when we're really paying attention to how our energy responds, how life responds to us, that's really where we can get in touch with that. So human design isn't like essentially a necessity. However, it can give us the languaging and the system and the understanding to be able to explore it and to deepen the journey. And that's what I love about human design, is it really it gives you this really simple life strategy and authority. And your authority in human design is how you're uniquely designed to make decisions. And we all have different authorities within us. So it's not dependent on your energy type, although it can be. But there are also, your authority could be anything. So you can look that up on any human design website, such as My Body Graph or Genetic Matrix or anything like that. Or myhumandesign.com is also a great resource. But what I love about the authority and the strategy in human design is it really teaches that we all have this internal guidance system, and it's within us. And not always, actually. There are some types that have outer authority, which kind of makes it a little bit different. But regardless, we all have our own unique way of navigating this world. And when we start to understand that and really get conscious of and pay attention to how that system guides us and the benefits of that, and how life responds when we use it, and how life doesn't so much, or we start to experience resistance when we're not kind of operating in the way, or really listening to our internal guidance, then that really helps us to kind of build trust and understanding and like real faith around it. And I think that's definitely the main thing that it's given to me, is like, it's definitely been a journey and a process where I've been applying this in my life now for actually now nearly 5 years. And I love it because at every stage you kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper with it. And I was talking to a friend this morning actually that I was doing a reading for, and saying about 2-3 years ago, I was like, oh my God, I've got this down now. Like, I really understand this. And only the last couple of months, I've had another level of experience where I'm like, I understand this even more now. And I think that's what's so nice, is you really start to build a relationship with your body, with your energy, and also with the universe or God, or, you know, however you kind of see that like benevolent force that is with us, like how we exchange energy with the world around us. It really helps us to build a relationship with that, which is such an incredible journey when you start to go on it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've got outer authority in human design. And at first, it just made no sense to me at all, because, you know, I've been working for a long time with somatic practices, and I get a really clear sense in my body now when I almost, it's like a click, things click into place. And first of all, I just couldn't relate to it. But as I just started experimenting with the authority, for me as a reflector, it's environment. And the whole piece fell into place for me, because what I've noticed is when my environment's right and I take time to make sure that it's an environment that's feeding me well, that, you know, I am very messy and erratic in the way I am, but when I take time to get things in order, and I notice straight away my energy settles and I can connect with that click then. And that's what it did for me. It was just like, it helps me connect with me. So I need that piece of it. And, you know, thinking back how I've worked before, and when things are in a mess, or I'm in situations that I keep going to, but they don't feel right, I feel completely off center. I'm way away from that click. And I hadn't put that piece in. And it's been so great, because at times when I want to go within, I know first of all I've got to get my environment right, take time to do that. And once I get myself in that space, once I'm alone and I can clear out, so I'm not picking up on anyone else's energy, then that click in me, that's the only way I can describe it, it really serves me well.
Yeah.
So that's been amazing. And again, it takes time to experiment and understand, because I think, you know, like with all these systems, there's a language that has to come into it in order to explain it. But we need to find our way of going, okay, that makes sense to me, that makes sense to my energy. And also all the other systems that I, you know and love and trust, like the elements, and understanding the chakras and the layers of the chakras. The more I'm allowing that openness, the more I'm seeing that within the human design system as well. It's like, okay,
that
makes sense of that gate, of this, my life color, of, you know, so it's really lovely. And I feel like it brings it together in a very succinct way and gives a structure to this whole way of experimenting and going out there and just seeing what's right for you, and literally cherry picking and go, that speaks to me. You know, that if you think there are as many ways of doing this as there are people in the world, so even though you've got your very specific types, we're also, the way we express it, the way we take it in, the way our energy meets it is completely unique.
Yeah.
And once you get that, I think having your authority is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a time as well that you feel that deep support in yourself. And at times when you really need it, it's there, even if it's just to go, this just doesn't feel right. I don't know what the answer is, but this is a definite, even understanding that no and following it and trusting it, and then taking time to get to, okay, well, where is the direction? What is the yes?
Definitely.
It's really important. And I'm sure everybody's got tons of stories when they've not listened, and with hindsight, you've got that wisdom. I knew that wasn't right. I knew that. And I couldn't let that person down, or I just couldn't trust myself enough to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly, I think when there's people in authority that are so clear and so, this is, it might be the science behind it, or I know better than you. I've had this experience. And I think that's particularly how we're parented. We're parented through somebody else's experience of life. And it's not particularly our experience, and we take them on as gospel, that this is the way life is, this is what this means. And similarly, when we're in places like, with our health or with big life decisions, you can often just turn it all over to somebody. And at the end of the day, remember, they're just a person and they are opinions, even though they may have a vast amount of knowledge that you don't know and you can listen to. But at the end of the day, it's your authority that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I know it's been shown even through healing that when somebody takes responsibility and steps in and makes the decisions for themselves, it makes a huge difference to the outcome. So even from that point of view, is the moment you step in and you begin to take charge of something, responsibility for something, then you automatically got a strength there, and you're much more likely to be able to heal, whether that's a situation or healing something, a physical ailment in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Even showing in old people's homes, when they give somebody even a plant to look after, some sense of responsibility that they're creating the choice through it. Simple things like that. For me, that is all about your authority, you taking responsibility for yourself and life and what goes on around you.
Yeah, and
it's a big subject. It's a big subject, but I actually think it boils down to, it can be very, very simple.
mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what I love about human design, because it's a vastly complex system. There's so many layers to it, but really, when you just follow your strategy and authority, it will guide you every step of the way. And that is really what I found the beauty of the system is, a lot of the time we're constantly looking, really far ahead, trying to figure out our purpose and be like, this is my direction and this is what I'm doing. And often really with human design, it all just comes back to like, what are those small decisions are you making in the moment? Are you making the decisions that feel right for you? And when you do that, they will lead you on your path to your purpose. And it can be something as simple as like, my instinct told me to choose almond milk today instead of oat milk. And I don't know why, but I'm just going to go with it. Like, there's so many different ways that we can start to look at this. And I think that, even in the wellness industry, I think there is almost sometimes a homogenized approach to looking at how your intuition speaks to you. Often we'll hear languaging like, listen to that quiet voice inside of you. And the reason why I connected so much with human design when I first started studying it was because what it helped me to understand is that that quiet voice inside of you is different for everybody. Or actually the spleen speaks in a really quiet voice, but if you don't have a defined spleen, maybe you don't have access to that, or maybe that's not your experience of how your intuition speaks to you. So this is what I really love about the system, because it helps you to start to be like, it opens you up. That's what it does. It's like, we're not looking at this one size fits all homogenized approach to navigating life, but it invites you to experiment and play with what works for you. And that's what I love about the system, and also somatics, because it's not this rigid structure of when we do X, Y, and Z, then we achieve X. It's actually like, how, like, what's right for you. Like, again, it's that you know, being invited to take responsibility. And also what you said about like all the different systems and how they speak to each other, and that's what I really love. I almost see them as like different languages. And you know, like I was with an Italian girl once, and she was trying to explain this like really lovely word in Italian that described it like comfy, cozy, and she was like, but it doesn't translate. I can't. She was like, I can't say it in English. There's not a word for it. And I think that that is really what all of these systems do. They're just different languages that describe energies and experiences that we can't, like our normal English language doesn't necessarily have the ability, it doesn't lend itself to. And when we're kind of playing with these different systems, they give us the awareness and like mental capacity to actually understand them. And when we have understanding, then we can also kind of embody it more and use it more.
Yeah, and I like the common thread that runs through all of the ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom is like, know yourself.
Yes.
Turn inwards, you know, whether that's God for you, your inner guidance, your connection with life, whatever it is, it's know yourself, know yourself, really listen and trust yourself, because you have got something unique to give to the world. And you're only ever going to do that when you're really following what's right for you. And I think the other thing, because often what comes up is, well, you can't just be selfish. And this has played a huge part in conditioning the masses, you know, us generally in life, and again, I say that in a way, it's not somebody doing it to us. We create life together, but we also condition each other because of this belief that somehow it's all about giving and sacrificing. Now, I would agree it is about giving. It's not about sacrificing. And when we do something to the detriment of ourselves, we are giving what's detrimental. We're not actually giving from the heart, because you can't give what you don't have. So when you're doing it out of guilt, or because you feel bad at yourself, or you're playing small, or you're trying to gain attention or love, it's toxic, and you're adding to the toxic soup. So when you get to that point that you're really following, if it's right for you, even if sometimes it means letting somebody else down, if it's right for you, it will be right for the whole.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you know, I sometimes used to be like, oh, but that's selfish, or that's, you know, like that might hurt somebody. And one of my teachers, I don't know if this is from Kabbalah actually, but always says that we need to approach everything with win-win consciousness. So it's not that win-lose consciousness of, in order for me to do what I want to do, in order for me to succeed, in order for me to feel good, then someone else has to lose out, someone else has to be harmed, or, you know, be in a position where they're suffering or whatever. But is this like, when I actually step into my power and I do what's right for me, then everybody else wins too. And again, like, you know, when you start to look at your energy type in human design and how you're uniquely designed to exchange energy with the world, what we often really start to see is when we're actually following the things that are right for us, then our energy can do what it's designed to do, and then everybody wins as a result of that. So I think that, you know, again, like digging into your human design and understanding your uniqueness with your astrology and lots of different things can really help us to, it's almost like a permission slip to be like, okay, no, this is right. This is how you have your contribution. This is how you actually make impact in the world. And when you're in this, then that's benefiting everybody. That's benefiting the whole. So it's not selfish.
Yeah.
And if you are ever feeling a little bit unsure about that, then I think it is checking in with that. Am I doing this from win-win consciousness, or, you know, is someone losing out so I gain?
Yeah. And actually trusting ourselves as well, because another sort of deep message in our culture is that actually if we all did that, then we would actually just go off and only look after ourselves and only be interested in what we want. And that's not actually true, because the happier we are, the more generous we are.
Yeah.
We are naturally cooperative beings, and we want to be in community, and we naturally care about each other. I really deeply believe that there's no way we would just all go off. People that are unhappy do that. People that are not really following what they or they're lost as well. It's just being that case of being lost, because those bigger decisions are not always so black and white. When there are lots of other people involved. So that's a time, again, get into your authority. What's the 0.1% that you can do? And that's what I love in human design. What's that tiny step you can do to bring more fluidity to yourself? So you may not be able to change the outside completely, but what is it that makes your heart sing? What is it that gets you in a better flow? And then the rest unravels.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason we often shy away from really connecting with ourselves, because the moment you suddenly get that realization, I'm not happy in this job, I'm not happy in this relationship, the next thing is, well, I can't move, I can't just leave my job. And you may not need to do that. That might not be the thing, but if you trust it and just keep asking, okay, well, what's the next step? What can I do next? And bring in more and more of that authority.
Yeah.
If you do end up taking that big step, you'll have the strength and resilience with you to make sure that you get on your right path, and you can also look after other people.
Yeah.
And I think what we often do is ignore it, and then we might just go, right, this is it, I'm going, and leave a lot of debris in our path. Because it's that push suddenly to, I can't stand this anymore. And you don't want to get to a place where you're making decisions because you can't stand your life. You want to shift. You want to kind of build this sense of openness and knowing and confidence, and let it unravel, let it unfold, and trust that everything that you do in that way will be for the greater good.
Absolutely.
So for me, that's what authority is. It's for the good of all. It's for the good of you. It's your connection. And it does threaten people. If people know you in a particular way and you start to do things in a different way, or, I know I've had this feeling myself when I've been too afraid and I see somebody really following what's right for them, it triggers me. I don't want to see it. I don't want them to be doing that and maybe showing me something that I've got to face, or it'd be beneficial for me to face. So just watching, the way we respond, it's like your body's constantly speaking to you, life constantly speaks to you. And it can be a really fun, experimental, curious game that you can play with yourself and just see how much life can open up.
Absolutely.
Right.
Amazing. Sarah, thank you everybody for joining us. We are going to be expanding on this topic a lot over the next coming months. We're kind of going through a bit of a transformation period in our business where we're really kind of cocooning and working on some really new exciting projects where we're going to be feeding in human design and somatics and kind of blending the two. So if anybody is interested and wants to know more, please pop your name on your newsletter, because we've got lots to come. And we will see you very soon in the next video. Thank you very much.
And please like, subscribe, share if you've enjoyed this. And thanks for joining us.